Our next lesson in business is going to be a lot of terminology, and some of that you might already know, and some of it you're not familiar with. I think the best way to explain this is to talk about how has COVID-19 affected the businesses in the United States. And that's a Baby Yoda. All right, we're not going to argue over politics or anything like that. This is just straight facts for you. During Donald Trump's administration, the GDP, the gross domestic product, had actually been increasing by about 2.5% for every year during his administration up until COVID-19 happened. Once COVID-19 hit, the economy took a huge hit. The first quarter in 2020, from January to March, there was a decrease by 4.5%. But then the second quarter numbers came in with a decrease of 30%. This drop has never happened in our recent history, with the biggest drop being in 1958 by only 10% compared to 30%. Gross domestic product is only one of the key economic indicators of the financial health of a country. Another thing you're going to want to look at is the market fluctuations. How much up and down movement is really going on, or is it kind of basically steady over time? Even with bird flu, Ebola, and other diseases that you see, we've managed well. But as you can see, COVID-19 has absolutely rocked our economy. In fact, this is on the level of the Great Depression if you look over there. Look at the market fluctuations. You can even see during the Spanish flu, which took place in 1918 to 1920, that took out a third of the world's population, and yet there was almost no fluctuation in the stock market at all. So that covers what's been going on globally all over, specifically looking at the US stock market. But what about locally? What's going on in Colorado, and specifically with small businesses? Well, you've probably noticed almost immediately that a lot of businesses were closed and that retail sales were very, very low. Let's face it, once COVID hit, people just didn't want to go out and buy anything during a pandemic. Small businesses in particular really suffered. Travel companies, restaurants, and hotels are just a few examples where non-employer businesses greatly suffered. A non-employer basically means there's only one person in charge of the business. Profitability greatly decreased because retail sales were so low. And with the possibility of employees contracting COVID-19, this posed as a serious liability to the businesses. A current study shows roughly 100,000 small businesses may not be able to reopen over all of this. So despite the grim numbers for many small businesses, there were some businesses that actually have flourished during this time. So for example, lots of board companies started getting all kinds of retail sales in that. Grocery stores and delivery services, home cleaning, big names like that. Canned goods sales. I know alcohol went up. There was a lot of people that, wanted to take part in things like that. Canned goods, and lots of other small business companies that were doing things like that. A lot of that kind of stuff flourished during this time. Well, even in the midst of all of this pandemic, there's still room to grow and to learn. Small businesses have figured out that by sending employees home, that they've also had as much as 65% productivity increases. So there is some, terrible stuff that's going on, but businesses are also starting to rethink how do we do things differently. And as we go into a new generation here of businesses, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to grow and to just do business differently. And ultimately, that's going to be your guys' job. You, as young entrepreneurs, are going to go out and have to figure new things out that none of us old guys have ever done before.